The massive space station hung in orbit around the gas giant like a jewel against velvet darkness. Captain Lisa Monroe stood at the viewing port of her ship, the Wanderer, and watched the archive of Velcara grow larger as they approached. She had been in space for 15 years, but places like this still took her breath away. "We're cleared for docking, Captain," said Commander Kyle Peters from behind her. His voice was steady and professional as always. Lisa turned from the window and nodded. "Good. Tell Dr. Cole to prepare his equipment. We're not here for sightseeing." The archive was famous across the galaxy. Every species that belonged to the Galactic Council sent their scholars here to study the ancient records. Humanity had only joined the Council 30 years ago, which meant humans were still the new kids on the block. Most alien species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. They looked at humans the way adults look at children playing with toys. But Lisa didn't care what they thought. Her ship had detected a strange signal from uncharted space 3 months ago. The signal repeated in patterns that seemed deliberate, like someone was trying to communicate. Every database Lisa checked came up empty, except for one small reference that pointed here to the archive. The docking procedure took 20 minutes. When the airlock finally opened, Lisa stepped onto the station with Kyle and Dr. Adrian Cole following close behind. Adrian was young, barely 30, with messy brown hair and glasses he wore because he liked how they looked. He carried 3 bags of equipment and was already talking. "The reference I found mentioned something called predecessor script," Adrian said, walking fast to keep up with Lisa's longer strides. "It's supposed to be incredibly old. The archive index said there are maybe 50 fragments in the entire collection." "And you think this script can tell us about the signal?" Lisa asked. "I think it's our only lead." They walked through corridors that curved and twisted in ways that hurt human eyes. The station had been built by the Velcarans, an insectoid species that saw in different colors and didn't care much for right angles. Other aliens passed them in the halls. Some nodded politely. Others pretended not to see the humans at all. The main archive chamber was enormous. Shelves stretched up into darkness above them, filled with data crystals, ancient tablets, and storage devices from 100 different worlds. The air smelled like old paper and electricity. A Velcaran approached them, walking on 6 legs with perfect grace. Its translator box spoke in flat, emotionless tones. "I am Zixthar, Senior Archivist. You are the humans who requested access to predecessor materials." "That's right," Lisa said. "We need to see everything you have." Zixthar's antennae twitched in what might have been disapproval. "The predecessor script is not for casual study. It is the language of the ancient ones who came before all of us, the ones who seeded this galaxy with life. To speak it without proper authority is forbidden." Adrian stepped forward, eager despite the warning. "We just want to look at it. We're trying to decode a signal." "You cannot decode predecessor script," Zixthar said firmly. "Only the Council's religious authorities have the keys to translate it. The language is sacred. This has been law for 10,000 years. Lisa felt her jaw tighten. She had expected resistance, but not this much. "We're not asking to violate any laws. We just want to see the fragments. Maybe we'll recognize something." Zixthar was silent for a long moment. Finally, the alien archivist gestured with one clawed limb. "Follow me, but you may only observe. Do not touch. Do not photograph. And absolutely do not attempt to read the text aloud." They followed Zixthar deep into the archive, past rows and rows of ancient knowledge. Finally, they reached a sealed chamber with guards standing outside. The guards were Kronar, big reptilian aliens with muscles like stone. They watched the humans with cold yellow eyes. Inside the chamber, the predecessor fragments were displayed in floating stasis fields. Each piece of text glowed softly, the symbols sharp and clear despite their age. There were tablets carved from black stone, metal sheets etched with precise lines, and even what looked like paper, somehow preserved across millions of years. Adrian moved from fragment to fragment, his eyes wide. He pulled out a tablet computer and started taking notes, being careful not to break the no photography rule. Lisa watched him work, then turned her attention to the symbols themselves. Something about them looked familiar. She moved closer to one of the tablets, studying the flowing lines and geometric shapes. The more she looked, the more certain she became. "Adrian," she said quietly. "Come look at this." Adrian joined her, adjusting his glasses. "What is it?" "These symbols. Some of them look like Sumerian cuneiform, And these over here, they're similar to Sanskrit characters. And this section looks almost like early Chinese. Adrian's face went pale. He moved quickly between the fragments, comparing symbols, his fingers flying across his tablet. "You're right," he whispered. "It's not exact, but the similarities are too strong to be coincidence. Captain, this language has elements from human writing systems." "That's impossible," Kyle said from behind them. "Humans only developed writing a few thousand years ago. These fragments are supposed to be millions of years old." Lisa felt her heart beating faster. If predecessor script looked like human languages, what did that mean? Were humans connected to the ancient ones somehow? Had the predecessors visited Earth? "We need to document this," Adrian said, excitement overwhelming his usual caution. He leaned close to one of the tablets, reading the symbols carefully. Without thinking, he began to sound out the words, trying to match the symbols to human phonetics. The moment the first syllable left his mouth, the entire chamber filled with red light. Alarms screamed through the archive. The stasis fields around the fragments blazed bright blue. Zixthar burst back into the chamber, antennae rigid with what could only be horror. "What have you done?" the archivist shrieked. "You have spoken the sacred language. You have violated the most fundamental law of the Council." Heavy doors slammed shut around them. Through the walls, Lisa could hear more alarms, more movement. Kyle's hand dropped to his sidearm instinctively, though Lisa knew weapons wouldn't help them here. "I didn't mean to," Adrian stammered. "I was just trying to understand it." "Understanding is not yours to have," Zixthar said. "The Inquisitors have been summoned. You will be judged for this blasphemy." Lisa stepped between the archivist and Adrian, her voice hard. "We didn't know it would trigger an alarm, but I saw what I saw. That language has human elements. If the predecessors wrote in symbols that look like human writing, then maybe humans have more right to study it than you think." "Humans have no rights here," Zixthar replied. "You are children playing with forces you cannot comprehend. The Inquisitors will decide your fate, and I suspect they will not be merciful." Lisa looked at Kyle, then at Adrian. They were trapped in a sealed chamber, accused of a crime they barely understood, waiting for judges who already considered them guilty. But as she looked back at the glowing fragments, Lisa made a decision. She hadn't come all this way to give up now. If humanity was somehow connected to the predecessors, she was going to find out the truth, even if the entire galaxy tried to stop her. The Inquisitors arrived 6 hours later. Lisa and her crew had been held in a locked chamber the entire time, guarded by 4 Kronar soldiers who refused to speak or even acknowledge their presence. Kyle had tried asking questions. Adrian had tried apologizing. Nothing worked. They simply waited in silence while the archive buzzed with activity around them. When the doors finally opened, Lisa stood up straight and prepared herself for whatever was coming. The lead Inquisitor was a creature called Drathnor, and he was terrifying. He stood nearly 9 feet tall with dark green scales and eyes that burned like yellow fire. His species, the Draxians, were known throughout the galaxy for their rigid devotion to council law. He wore robes marked with symbols of religious authority, and his voice rumbled like distant thunder. "I am High Inquisitor Drathnor," he announced. "You humans stand accused of speaking the predecessor script without divine sanction. This is the greatest blasphemy known to the Council. Do you understand the severity of your crime?" Adrian opened his mouth to speak, but Lisa put a hand on his shoulder, silencing him. She would handle this. "We understand that we broke a rule," Lisa said calmly. "We didn't intend to cause offense. We were researching a signal we detected, and the script seemed relevant to our investigation." "Intent is irrelevant," Drathnor said. "The law exists to protect all species from the power of the ancient language. The predecessors created life in this galaxy. Their words carry power that lesser beings cannot control. You have shown that humans are too reckless to be trusted with sacred knowledge." Behind Drathnor, other aliens filed into the chamber. Lisa recognized some of them from council broadcasts. Representatives from dozens of species, all here to witness the judgment. Among them was Ambassador Patricia Wells, Earth's diplomatic representative to the council. Patricia looked exhausted and angry. Patricia stepped forward, bowing respectfully to Drathnor before turning to Lisa. "Captain Monroe, on behalf of Earth's government, I must ask you to accept responsibility for this incident and agree to destroy all research related to predecessor materials." Lisa stared at her. "You want me to give up?" I want you to be realistic, Patricia said quietly. Humanity has been part of the Council for 30 years. We're still trying to earn respect, still trying to prove we deserve our place here. If we fight this, they could revoke our membership. They could ban human ships from Council space. We can't afford that. We can't afford to ignore the truth either, Lisa replied. Patricia's expression hardened. That's not your decision to make, Captain. Actually, it is. Lisa turned back to Drathnor, standing tall despite the Inquisitor towering over her. I want to propose something. Let Dr. Cole attempt to translate one of the predecessor fragments, a text that hasn't been decoded before. If he succeeds, it proves that humans have a legitimate ability to understand this language. If he fails, we'll accept whatever punishment you decide. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Aliens spoke rapidly in their own languages, translators struggling to keep up. Sixthar's antennae quivered with what looked like rage. Drathnor's eyes narrowed. You dare to suggest that a human, a species barely out of its own solar system, could translate what the greatest scholars in the galaxy have failed to decode for 10,000 years? I'm suggesting we find out, Lisa said simply. This is insane, Patricia hissed. You're making things worse. But Drathnor seemed intrigued despite himself. The Draxian stepped closer, studying Lisa with those burning yellow eyes. If your scholar fails, the penalty will be severe. Earth will be banned from all Council archives for 100 years. Your ship will be impounded, and you personally will face imprisonment. And if he succeeds? Lisa asked. Then we will discuss what it means. Drathnor turned to the assembled representatives. Does anyone object to this challenge? Several aliens spoke up immediately, arguing that humans shouldn't be given any chance to prove themselves. But others seemed curious. A moth-like creature near the back, covered in pale luminescent fur, spoke in a soft voice. Let them try. Truth should not fear investigation. After several minutes of debate, Drathnor raised a clawed hand for silence. The challenge is accepted. Dr. Cole will have 1 hour to translate a selected text. Scholars from 5 different species will verify his work. If he succeeds, we will reconsider humanity's status. If he fails, the penalties will be enforced immediately. Adrian looked terrified, but he nodded. Kyle squeezed his shoulder encouragingly. They were led back to the fragment chamber. This time, dozens of aliens crowded in to watch. Drathnor selected one of the smaller tablets, a piece of black stone covered in tight lines of symbols. This text has never been successfully translated. Many have tried. All have failed. Begin. Adrian approached the tablet slowly, pulling out his computer. His hand shook slightly as he started photographing the symbols from every angle. Lisa watched him work, praying she hadn't just destroyed his career and possibly his life. But as Adrian studied the symbols, something changed in his expression. The fear faded, replaced by intense concentration. His fingers flew across his tablet, pulling up references to ancient human languages, mathematical patterns, linguistic structures. It's a pattern, he muttered, half to himself. The symbols repeat in sequences of 7. That's significant in multiple human cultures. And these curves here, they're not random. They match the golden ratio, which appears in human art and architecture throughout history. He worked in silence for 20 minutes. The only sound his fingers tapping on the tablet and his occasional whispers as he tested different translations. The alien scholars watching him grew impatient, shifting and murmuring among themselves. Finally, Adrian looked up. His face was pale but determined. I have it. Speak, Drathnor commanded. Adrian cleared his throat. It's a star map. The symbols represent stellar coordinates using a base 7 mathematical system. The text lists 43 star systems in this sector of the galaxy. He turned his tablet around, showing a 3-dimensional projection of stars. I've matched the coordinates to our current star charts. Every single one is accurate. The alien scholars rushed forward, examining Adrian's work. They argued in rapid, technical language, checking his calculations. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the moth-like scholar who had spoken earlier nodded slowly. The translation is correct. Impossible, but correct. Drathnor's expression was unreadable. Show me these coordinates. Adrian expanded the projection, highlighting each system. As the map grew clearer, Lisa saw something that made her blood run cold. One of the stars was marked with a special symbol, different from all the others. A symbol that Adrian translated as origin point. That star was Sol, Earth's sun, The chamber fell absolutely silent. "This is a forgery," Drathnor said, but his voice lacked certainty. "It's not," Adrian said firmly. "This tablet is millions of years old according to your own dating methods. I didn't create this map. I just read what was already there." Lisa stepped forward, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "The predecessor script includes Earth's sun and marks it as an origin point. I think we deserve to know why." Patricia looked horrified. The alien representatives were in chaos, some shouting, others standing frozen in shock. And in that moment, Lisa knew they had discovered something that would change everything. The council chamber was in complete chaos. Lisa stood at the center of it all, watching as alien representatives shouted at each other in dozens of languages. Some demanded that the humans be expelled immediately, others insisted on further investigation. A few simply stared at the star map projection in stunned silence, unable to process what they were seeing. Drathnor raised his voice above the noise. "This changes nothing. The human has committed blasphemy. The fact that he successfully translated one fragment does not grant humanity special privileges. It proves we can read the language," Lisa shot back, "and it proves that Earth is connected to the predecessors somehow. We have a right to know why." "You have no rights," Drathnor growled. "You are newcomers to the council. Children who have barely learned to walk among the stars. The predecessor script is not yours to claim." Before Lisa could respond, the moth-like scholar stepped forward. Her luminescent fur glowed brighter as she spoke. "My name is Nixara, and I represent the Luminara people. I propose that we investigate this matter further before making any decisions. If Earth truly has a connection to the predecessors, then we cannot simply ignore it. The Luminara have always been too soft," another alien snapped. "The humans are manipulating us. How?" Nixara asked calmly. "The tablet Dr. Cole translated has been in our archives for 8,000 years. Humans didn't even know we existed 8,000 years ago. They couldn't have forged it." The debate continued for another hour. Finally, the council agreed to a temporary recess while they decided what to do. Lisa and her crew were escorted back to the Wanderer, still under guard but no longer imprisoned. As soon as they were back on the ship, Kyle pulled up communications. "Captain, we've got a message from Earth Command. Admiral Stone wants to speak with you, and there's another ship here. The Defiant arrived an hour ago." Lisa felt a mix of relief and concern. The Defiant was a warship, one of Earth's most advanced vessels. Its captain was Frank Delaney, an old friend of Lisa's who didn't back down from anyone. She opened the communication channel. Admiral Rebecca Stone's face appeared on the screen, her expression serious. "Captain Monroe, I've been informed of the situation. You've put Earth in a very difficult position." "I know, Admiral. But if we're connected to the predecessors, we need to understand how and why." "Agreed," Stone said, surprising Lisa. "That's why I sent the Defiant. Captain Delaney has orders to extract you and your crew if the Council tries anything hostile. But Lisa, be careful. You're walking a very thin line here. Half the Council wants to help you. The other half wants to see humanity punished. What about Earth's government?" Stone's expression softened slightly. "Ambassador Wells is following her orders to keep the peace. But between you and me, a lot of people back home are very interested in what you've found. If the predecessors marked Earth as an origin point, we want to know what that means." The communication ended, and Lisa sat down heavily in her captain's chair. Her head was spinning with possibilities and dangers. Adrian entered the bridge looking exhausted but excited. "Captain, I've been going through all the data I collected before the alarms went off. There's something you need to see." He brought up images on the main screen showing fragments from different tablets. "Look at these symbols. They appear on multiple fragments across different time periods. They always appear near coordinates or location markers." He highlighted one specific symbol. "This one appears 47 times in the fragments I saw, and every time it appears, it's associated with Earth's coordinates." "What does the symbol mean?" Kyle asked. "As close as I can translate it, it means home or seed world or possibly origin." Adrian looked at Lisa with wide eyes. "Captain, I don't think the predecessors just visited Earth. I think Earth might be where they came from." The implication hit Lisa like a physical blow. "You're saying humans might be descendants of the predecessors?" "I'm saying it's possible. And if I'm right, that's why we can read their language. It's not just similar to human languages, it might be the source of human languages." Before anyone could respond, the ship's alarms blared. Kyle checked his console and cursed. 3 Council security ships just dropped out of FTL. They're taking up positions around us. Lisa activated the communication system. This is Captain Monroe of the Wanderer. What's the meaning of this? Drathnor's face appeared on screen. The Council has made its decision. You and your crew will be detained while we investigate your claims. Your ship's computers will be seized and examined. You will not be permitted to leave this station. That wasn't part of our agreement, Lisa said, her voice hard. The agreement was that we would reconsider humanity's status. We are reconsidering it. At the moment, we have concluded that humans are too dangerous to be given freedom to explore this mystery. Drathnor's expression was cold. You will surrender peacefully or we will take you by force. Kyle checked his displays. The Defiant is moving into position, Captain. Captain Delaney is requesting orders. Lisa's mind raced. If they fought, people would die. Earth's relationship with the Council would be destroyed. But if they surrendered, the Council would bury this discovery. Humanity would never learn the truth about their connection to the predecessors. Captain, Adrian said quietly, I've been analyzing the signal we originally detected. The one that brought us here in the first place. I know where it's coming from. Where? The coordinates are in the predecessor fragments. It's a system at the edge of explored space. The fragments call it the last beacon. Adrian pulled up a star chart. If we could get there, we might find real answers. Not just fragments and hints, but actual predecessor technology or records. We're surrounded by Council ships, Kyle pointed out. How exactly do you propose we get anywhere? Lisa looked at the tactical display. The 3 Council ships had them boxed in, but they were smaller vessels designed for patrol, not combat. The Defiant was larger and better armed. If they moved fast enough, if they caught the Council ships by surprise, they might be able to break through. It was a huge risk. It might start a war, but Lisa thought about that symbol marking Earth as an origin point. She thought about 10,000 years of Council control over predecessor knowledge. She thought about humanity's right to know their own history. She opened a channel to the Defiant. Captain Delaney, this is Monroe. Prepare for immediate departure. We're going to run the blockade. Patricia Wells' face appeared on another screen, her expression horrified. Captain Monroe, don't do this. You'll destroy everything we've built with the Council. Or we'll finally be treated as equals, Lisa replied. She looked at her crew. Adrian, plot a course to those coordinates. Kyle, prepare the FTL drive. Everyone else, strap in. This is going to get rough, Captain, Kyle said quietly. Are you sure about this? Lisa smiled grimly. No, but I didn't come all this way to turn back now. She opened the ship-wide communication channel. All hands, this is the captain. In approximately 60 seconds, we're going to leave this station whether the Council likes it or not. We're going to find the truth about humanity's connection to the predecessors. Hold on tight. She closed the channel and looked at Drathnor's face on the screen. You can't stop us, she said simply. Then she cut the communication. The Wanderer's engines roared to life. The Wanderer shot forward like a bullet. Behind them, the Defiant matched their acceleration, its heavier weapon systems coming online. The 3 Council security ships scrambled to respond, but they had expected negotiation, not a sudden breakout. They're powering weapons, Kyle reported, his fingers flying across the tactical console. Tracking systems are locking onto us. Evasive pattern Delta, Lisa commanded. Get us to minimum safe jump distance as fast as possible. The ship shook as it pushed beyond normal acceleration limits. Through the view screen, Lisa saw the station falling away rapidly, and beyond it, the massive shape of the Defiant keeping pace with them. Blue energy bolts lanced through space, missing the Wanderer by less than 50 meters. The Council ships were firing warning shots, trying to force them to stop without actually destroying them. That wouldn't last long. Jump distance in 40 seconds, Adrian called out from the navigation station, filling in for the regular navigator who was off duty. More weapons fire lit up the darkness. One shot clipped the Wanderer's shields, making the whole ship shudder. Alarms blared across the bridge. Shields at 80%, Kyle reported. They're getting our range. Lisa opened a channel to the Defiant. Delaney, we need cover. Already on it, Frank Delaney's rough voice came back. The Defiant shifted position, placing its armored hull between the Wanderer and 2 of the pursuing ships. Its point defense systems opened up, creating a wall of intercepting fire that forced the Council ships to break off their attack. 20 seconds to jump, Adrian said, his voice tight with stress. Through the communication system, Lisa could hear multiple council voices shouting demands for them to stop, threatening severe consequences. She ignored them all, focused entirely on the countdown. 10 seconds. 9. 8. Another impact rocked the ship. The lights flickered. Shields at 60%. They're charging heavy weapons, Kyle warned. 4, 3, 2. Jump now, Lisa commanded. The stars stretched into lines of light. Space twisted, and the Wanderer vanished into FTL, leaving the council ships behind. The Defiant jumped half a second later, following the same course. For a moment, everyone on the bridge sat in stunned silence, breathing hard. They had done it. They had actually defied the entire Galactic Council and escaped. Damage report, Lisa said finally. Shields took a beating, but they're regenerating, Kyle replied. Hull integrity is good. No major systems damaged. We got lucky, Captain. Navigation is stable, Adrian added. We're on course for the beacon coordinates. Estimated arrival time is 41 hours at current speed. Lisa nodded and opened a channel to the Defiant. Captain Delaney, status? Frank's weathered face appeared on screen, grinning despite the situation. We're fine. Shields took a few hits, but nothing serious. That was some fancy flying, Lisa. Thanks for the cover. Anytime. Though I should mention that I'm now officially a wanted man. The Council just issued warrants for both of us. His grin faded slightly. Admiral Stone sent an encrypted message. Earth's government is in emergency session. Some representatives are calling for our arrest. Others are calling us heroes. It's a mess back home. What does Stone say? She says to find something worth all this trouble. Frank's expression grew serious. Lisa, I hope you know what you're doing. We just burned a lot of bridges. I know, Lisa said quietly. But if we're right about Earth's connection to the predecessors, those bridges needed burning. The communication ended. Lisa sat back in her captain's chair, feeling the weight of what she'd done settling on her shoulders. She had essentially declared war on the Council's authority. There was no going back from this. Captain, Adrian said hesitantly, we're receiving a communication request. It's not from the Council. It's from that Luminara scholar, Nixara. Lisa raised an eyebrow. Put her through. Nixara's luminescent form appeared on the screen. Even through the video feed, her fur seemed to glow with soft light. Captain Munro, I don't have much time. I'm transmitting files to you now. Everything I could steal from the restricted Council archives before they locked me out. You're helping us? Why? Because I've spent my life studying the predecessors, Nixara said simply. I have always believed that knowledge should be free, that truth matters more than tradition. When I saw what Dr. Cole translated, I knew the Council had been hiding something important. Her image flickered slightly. The files I'm sending you contain fragments that were deliberately hidden from public archives. References to Earth that were classified thousands of years ago. Whatever connection your species has to the predecessors, the Council's founders knew about it and chose to keep it secret. The data began flowing into the Wanderer's computers. Thousands of files, images of fragments, encrypted documents. Why would they hide it? Lisa asked. I don't know, but there are notes from ancient Council meetings. Discussions about Earth being placed under observation protocols. They found your planet long before humanity developed space travel. They watched your species evolve, and they made a deliberate decision not to make contact. Nixara's expression was difficult to read on her alien face. There's one more thing. I found references to the beacon you're heading toward. It's called the Gateway of Origins. The fragments say it will only respond to those who carry the predecessor heritage in their blood. Adrian leaned forward eagerly. What does that mean? It means the Council can't access it, Nixara said. They've tried for 10,000 years. The gateway remains closed to them, but if humans really are predecessor descendants, it might open for you. Static crackled across the transmission. I have to go, Nixara said quickly. They're tracing this signal. Good luck, Captain Munro. I hope you find what you're looking for. The transmission ended. Lisa looked at her crew. Kyle looked worried but determined. Adrian was already diving into the new data files, his fingers flying across his console. The rest of the bridge crew watched her, waiting for orders. Captain, Kyle said quietly, the Council won't let this go. Even if we find something at the gateway, we'll have to face them eventually. I know. Are we ready for that? We're just one ship. 2 ships counting the Defiant. The Council has hundreds of vessels. Lisa stood up and walked to the view screen, watching the distorted stars streaming past. The Council has numbers, she said. But we have something they don't. We have the right to know our own history. We have the courage to demand answers instead of accepting what we're told. She turned back to face her crew. And we have each other. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. I know what we just did was dangerous. I know some of you are scared. Hell, I'm scared too. But 41 hours from now, we're going to reach the gateway of origins. We're going to find out the truth about humanity's place in this galaxy, and whatever we find there, whatever happens next, we're going to face it together. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. The council said only gods could speak the dead language. They were wrong. They said humans had no right to predecessor knowledge. They were wrong about that too. We're from Earth and we don't need anyone's permission to discover who we are. She closed the channel and sat back down. Kyle, make sure all systems are running at peak efficiency. Adrian, analyze those files Nixara sent us. Everyone else, get some rest. We've got a long journey ahead and something tells me the hard part is still coming. As her crew returned to their duties, Lisa allowed herself a small smile. They had crossed the line. There was no going back, but for the first time in 10,000 years, humanity was about to learn the truth. The gateway of origins hung in space like a monument to eternity. Lisa stood on the bridge of the Wanderer, staring at the massive structure through the view screen, and for a moment, she forgot how to breathe. The gateway was a ring, kilometers across, built from a dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange symbols covered every surface, glowing with soft blue light that pulsed like a heartbeat. I'm reading power signatures, Kyle said, his voice filled with awe. This thing is still active after millions of years. There are council ships on approach, reported Lieutenant Maya Griffin from the tactical station. She had taken over the position after their regular tactical officer had requested reassignment, too afraid of the consequences of defying the council. 6 vessels including Drathnor's flagship. They'll be here in 20 minutes. Lisa nodded. She had expected this. The council wasn't going to let them explore the gateway unopposed. Adrian moved from station to station, comparing the gateway symbols to the fragments they had studied. Captain, these symbols match the predecessor script exactly. And there's an interface platform on the inner ring. I think someone needs to physically approach it. Can we analyze it from here first? Lisa asked. We could spend years analyzing it, Adrian replied. Or we could try speaking to it. The fragments Nixara sent us suggest the gateway responds to voice commands in predecessor script. Spoken by someone with predecessor heritage, Lisa added quietly. Right. Which means it needs to be one of us. One of the humans. Lisa looked at her crew. They had come so far, risked so much. She wasn't going to ask anyone else to take this final risk. Prepare a shuttle. I'm going to the gateway. Captain, you should let me go, Adrian protested. I'm the linguist. I know the script better than anyone. Which is exactly why you're coming with me, Lisa said. Kyle, you have command of the Wanderer. If things go wrong, get everyone out of here. That's an order. Kyle looked like he wanted to argue, but he nodded. Yes, Captain. 10 minutes later, Lisa and Adrian sat in a small shuttle approaching the gateway. Through the cockpit window, Lisa could see the Defiant holding position nearby. Its weapon systems active and ready. Frank Delaney wasn't going to let the council interfere without a fight. As they drew closer to the gateway, Adrian's equipment began picking up signals. It's scanning us, he said excitedly. Some kind of deep-level scan. Genetic, maybe? It's analyzing our DNA. The shuttle passed through the gateway's ring and approached the inner platform Adrian had identified. It was a circular disc, maybe 50 meters across, covered in glowing symbols that shifted and changed as they watched. Lisa set the shuttle down gently on the platform. Through her helmet radio, she could hear Kyle's voice from the Wanderer. Council ships are entering the system, Captain. 12 minutes. Understood, Lisa replied. She and Adrian stepped out of the shuttle onto the ancient platform. The moment their boots touched the surface, the symbols blazed brighter. A deep vibration ran through the platform, through their bones, resonating in a way that felt almost familiar. Adrian approached the center of the platform where a console had risen from the floor. The symbols there were clear and sharp, waiting. This is it, he said softly. The interface, and what do we do? Lisa asked. We ask it. Adrian placed his hand on the console and spoke in predecessor script, his pronunciation careful and precise. The words sounded strange coming from human vocal cords, but also somehow right, as if human mouths had been designed to make these sounds. He asked a simple question in the ancient language. Who are we? For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the entire gateway came alive. Light poured from every symbol. The space around them filled with holographic images, data flowing faster than human eyes could follow. And then a figure appeared projected above the console, a hologram of a being that looked remarkably human. The figure spoke in predecessor script, and Adrian translated in a whisper. "We are the last message of the first humanity. If you can hear this, if you can speak our language, then our gamble succeeded. Our children survived." Lisa felt her heart hammering in her chest. The hologram continued. "We were the first civilization to arise in this galaxy. We built wonders. We traveled between stars. We learned the secrets of life itself. But we grew old. Our empire lasted for 1,000,000 years, but even we could not escape entropy. We faced extinction. The images around them showed cities that spanned continents, ships that moved between galaxies, technology beyond anything the current council had achieved. Rather than let our knowledge die, we made a choice," the hologram said. "We found a young world, a perfect world, and we seeded it with our genetic heritage. We stripped away our technology, our civilization, everything we had built. We gave our children, you, a chance to start fresh, to grow without the weight of our mistakes. We called this world Earth." Adrian was crying openly now. Lisa felt her own eyes burning with tears. "We left you this gateway as a test," the hologram continued. "Only species that reached the stars through their own merit, that developed their own civilization without interference, could activate it. Only those who carried our genetic legacy could speak our language. Only those who inherited our stubbornness, our refusal to accept limits could find their way here." The hologram smiled. "You found us. You proved worthy of the inheritance." The images changed, showing vast libraries of information, technologies that could revolutionize human civilization, star maps marking thousands of worlds. "This is yours now," the hologram said. "The last gift of the first humanity to their children. Use it wisely. Go further than we ever did. And remember that you earned this not because you were given permission, but because you refused to be stopped." The hologram began to fade. "We are proud of you, our children. Now go, make us proud." The light faded. The hologram vanished. But the gateway remained active, its systems awakening after millions of years of sleep, ready to share its secrets. Lisa and Adrian stood in silence for a long moment. "Captain," Kyle's voice came over the radio, breaking the spell. "The council fleet has arrived. Drathnor is demanding you surrender immediately." Lisa smiled. She looked at Adrian, saw the same expression on his face. They had done it. They had found the truth. She activated her radio. "Kyle, transmit everything we just learned to Earth Command. Every word, every image. Make sure everyone knows what we found here." "Already done, Captain," Kyle replied, and Lisa could hear the pride in his voice. She opened a channel to the council fleet. "High Inquisitor Drathnor, this is Captain Monroe. We've activated the Gateway of Origins. We've received the message left for us by the predecessors, and I think you need to see this." She transmitted the recording to every council ship. Minutes passed in tense silence as the council representatives watched the hologram's message. Lisa imagined their shock, their disbelief, their horror at learning that humans weren't just connected to the predecessors, but were their chosen heirs. Finally, Drathnor's voice came back, quieter than before, stripped of its earlier certainty. "This changes everything." "Yes," Lisa agreed. "It does. The council will need time to process this information," Drathnor continued, "to determine what it means for the galaxy's power structure. Take all the time you need," Lisa said. "We'll be here learning about our heritage, and when you're ready to talk, we'll talk as equals, not as children asking permission, but as adults claiming their birthright." She closed the channel and looked up at the gateway, at the vast ring of ancient metal that represented humanity's true origins. Behind her, Adrian was already downloading information from the gateway's systems, his face glowing with excitement as he discovered technologies and knowledge that would transform human civilization. The Wanderer moved closer, with the Defiant following. Soon more human ships would come. Scientists, engineers, diplomats. Earth's children had come home to claim their inheritance. Lisa smiled and spoke quietly to herself, repeating the words that had started this whole journey. They said only gods spoke the dead language. "We're from Earth. We don't need permission." And in the ancient gateway built by humanity's ancestors millions of years ago, the lights continued to glow, welcoming their children home at last.